But while the exorcism doesn't go as planned, a huge secret changes everything. Hey guys, remember The Exorcist, Season 1, Episode 5, Chapter 5, Through My Grievous Fall, and holy shit, one episode. I mean, I can't believe that the show went where they did. I expected that something big to happen within this exorcism, not just because of the fact that it was the exorcism, but also the fact that it's episode 5, we're now halfway through the season. But damn, I did not expect that twist to happen, and we'll talk about that at the end, because of course it was at the end of the episode. But this was by far best episode of the season. I mean, this highlighted all the best things of the show. It had some of the best character moments, it had some of the creepiest scenes the show has given us, and just overall was a great episode. I loved everything about it, and every episode of the show really seems to be getting better and better, but let's just get in this episode because I'm really loving where the show is going from here, and especially after that twist, I really want to talk about where I think the show is headed after that, but we have to talk about the rest of the episode before we get to that twist, because there is more stuff that happened besides that twist, believe it or not. But we start off and we begin with Marcus. He's drawing in his Bible, and Father Tomas worried about the Rand's family. Casey is covered in boils, chained to her bed, and she just looks really bad this entire episode. We see Henry tends to her. She's in horrible shape. As he's about to leave the room, she asks him if he wants to hear a secret. She puts one of her chains around his neck. When he takes a seat on the bed next to her, the demon whispers in his ear. We don't know what the secret was, but Henry walks downstairs, and Angela knows that something is wrong, but not what. You know, she doesn't know what it is, but she was asleep, missed out on watching the incident on closed circuit. So Kat is listening to music in her room. When she hears banging in the walls, she taps back, asking if Casey can hear her. The racket in response sends her back to her bed and back to listening to her headphones. Again, Kat doesn't really understand what's going on, but I feel like after this episode, she's definitely going to get what's going on. So Angela is keeping busy cleaning the kitchen. The banging increases over her head in Casey's room. She gets up on a chair to clean a gross mess on the ceiling that's leaking from Casey's room when Henry walks in and looks at her precarious position. So, meanwhile, in Casey's room, the demon tries to get inside Father Tomas's head by talking about his grandmother, and again, like I said, I like that this demon seems to have some sort of connection to Tomas and Marcus, and especially with Tomas. You know, we know that Tomas started being a priest because his grandmother told him to, and Marcus takes Casey's head in his hands, telling it to leave to her body. Casey continues to try and get to Father Tomas as they both watch. One of Casey's big toes breaks, turns sideways again. Really graphic stuff, and I really do applaud Fox for going in the graphic direction that they did. This is one of the reasons why I was so shocked that Rocky Horror Picture Show was so contained when they can show this kind of shit on, you know, network television. So Angela looks through old photos. Henry lurks in the doorway. He stares at her. She says that she's not sure how much more she can take of the banging noises. Henry then leans in and asks her if she believes in God. She responds by saying he probably has low blood sugar from not eating. And he follows it by asking if she's lied to him, and she dodges the question, because clearly he knows some sort of reveal, but we don't know what it is, telling him that she could use some cooperation. She wants to know why he's blaming her for this, saying that she's not going to take the blame. So they did a really good job with showing that she's definitely hiding something. We just don't know what it is at this point. So Father Tomas then bandages Casey's toe, while Marcus tells Casey she has to fight the demon. She speaks to Father Tomas as if she's his grandmother, which again, really creepy scene going on. They're telling him that she never wanted this for him. He begs her to stop, while Marcus tells Father Tomas not to look at it. Father Tomas doesn't listen to Marcus and instead argues with Casey. He races from the room. Marcus chases after him, assuring him that he can do this because, again, he's obviously haunted. I mean, this is the woman that forced him to become a priest, and now hearing this demon talk like his grandmother obviously is freaking him out. So they run back into, and I like that Marcus is telling him, look, you can do this, because again, Marcus has seen it all. He's very experienced when it comes to possession, so I'm not going to say that nothing phases him, but he's not as startled by things as Tomas is, you know, because he's been through this before. So Marcus chases after him, assuring him he can do this. They run back into the room. Casey screams, flies through the air, banging off the walls, reciting the Little Piggy's nursery rhyme. Again, just really creepy overall. So Father Tomas and Marcus chain her back to the bed while Henry prays in his bedroom. He leaves the rosary on the bed when he hears dripping in his closet. He looks up, something's coming from the ceiling and has saturated box. And in the box is a Bible, and he opens it to see pressed flowers and a red feather. We don't really know what that's all about, but Marcus cradles Casey in his arms. Her physical condition is is very much deteriorating. I mean, it's really bad. Like, she really, at this point, looks like she's, like, a cryptic ghost, basically, as is the stranger's condition, while he floats above her chest, and I love that the stranger is still around here. Again, that's one of the creepiest things here, is that she's the only one that can see the stranger, but us knowing the stranger's still there, and he's the one that's basically doing all this to her is just really harrowing to think about. So the stranger doesn't want her to fight him, warning her she must bring her to him. We don't know. Of course, we know what he's talking about. You know, she must bring Casey to the stranger. So Kat tells her mom they need more help. She'll call the police in for professionals who do something with Casey. Angela says no, asks her to stop discussing it. Kat says they have to do the right thing. And in walks Marcus with the new Casey, who's sleeping, with the news that Casey is sleeping. So Angela makes him some tea. Marcus assures Kat that he would never hurt Casey and that everything's fine. And I like that Marcus is trying to tell her, look, you don't have to worry about her. We got her in good hands. And Father Tomas takes some time to himself to wash up in the bathroom, but then hears Jessica knocking on the door. She's calling for him to come to her. The lights in the house flicker. He enters Casey's room, and now it's Jessica's instead of Casey who's inside. So he tries to convince himself she's not Jessica, but he's weak. She touches his face. He reminds her that she's married, and I was wondering if it was actually Jessica, but it is in fact Casey, who, you know, it's basically is messing with him. So she asks for his hands. He says, unclean spirit. She touches her own breast and then puts his fingers under her nose and whispers in his ear that she's hungry, making him kneel before her as she caresses his head at waist level. He begins to get intimate while Tomas sees Jessica. We see it's Casey, of course, who's actually gone into his head. And again, just the way that this demon can do all these things, it's not really surprising, but it's just especially creepy knowing this is all happening to Tomas and everything going on so far is related to him. So luckily, Marcus does enter the room in time, stops Father Tomas, knocking him away from Casey, who responds with making a horrible pun just as he was getting ahead, and Marcus which that's something that the demon always does. There's always, like, these really crude jokes that the demon did. I mean, we remember some of them from The Exorcist, you know, the original movie. So Marcus pushes Father Tomas from the room, tells him that he's now been compromised. Marcus thinks that Father Tomas is a liability, and that's really all he is. You know, he feels that he's the one to blame things on if something bad happens, and Kat sneaks to look into the room before Marcus can push her away from the door, because again, she wants to know what's really going on. Father Tomas takes a walk in the ring to Jessica's. He's clearly upset and is no longer wearing his collar, and I kind of got this as he is going to do something that a priest wouldn't do. Therefore, he doesn't deserve to wear his collar, because the feelings he has for Jessica are a lot more than platonic. These are legit, you know, feelings that he has for her, and he can't continue being a priest if he has these feelings for her. Because like I said, if you get close to anyone else, you are basically essentially betraying God. And that's what Father Tomas feels like he's doing. He feels like he's betraying God. And this was a very strong scene because of that. So Marcus asks the demon its name. She tells him an excommunicated priest would be quite a jewel in their crown. He calls it a coward, and it responds by telling him he's not fit to perform an exorcism. It talks about his father while she asks if it's taking Casey because she's a woman, and he thinks that she's weak, and it tells her to bring her to him, and he asks who. Marcus calls it a spiteful, jealous spirit and says Casey is fighting to get him out of her. He holds Casey's head. Then he sees his mother in the room. Marcus says, Mom, but we get a flash of a scene of Father Tomas kissing Jessica. Mom tells Marcus she and his father never won him and he was a mistake, which I don't know if this is actually true. I mean, we don't know a ton about his past, except that, of course, he's dealt with this demon before, but other than that, we don't know a lot else, so Tomas and Jessica are getting hot and heavy while in Casey's room. Marcus's mom talks about how his father brained her with his hammer. Her head is bloody, distorted on one side, and she strokes Marcus's head, tells him she should have flushed him when she had the chance, and Casey takes his mom's place. He asks her if that's all she's got. Casey floats above the bed, tells Marcus to come to them. He screams at Casey as Father Tomas and Jessica make love at Jessica's house. Again, clearly Father Tomas has realized that his feelings for Jessica are just a lot more than he thought, and sirens then approaching the house. Angela figures out the cat has called the police. She screams no, obviously because it's completely the wrong way to go. I mean, she can't do that, and I was freaking out the cat did that. But it makes sense. I mean, again, Kat doesn't really believe in all this spirit nonsense. She thinks it's nonsense. She knocks him aside. The police rush into the room. They grab Marcus, and Casey falls back into the bed. They take her out of the house on a gurney. They haul Marcus away under arrest, and Andrea yells at them that they can't do this, that Marcus is a priest, and again, they feel that Marcus is insane, so Angela cries out that this will kill her daughter. Henry simply looks on. Again, clearly he knows something that she doesn't. Kat tries to tell her mom it's for the best, and obviously it wasn't. I mean, they've now taken her daughter away, and now it's just made things worse for them. But what I love about Kat making this horrible decision is that she then finally realizes what's going on. She watches her sister's place in the ambulance before she's held inside. Casey lifts the oxygen mask off her face, stares at Kat and smiles. Kat looks surprised and horrified, realizing that Angela and Henry aren't crazy, realizing what's actually going on. I like that Kat now knows that her sister is in fact possessed, and that this isn't just some specialist thing that she needs. There is something genuinely happening to her, and they can't stop it. And I like seeing that. I mean, obviously, it's this rude awakening, but I like that Kat was awakened. I like that we're not spending an entire season with Kat in denial. I think that'd be annoying if they did that. So the police question Angela and Henry as the ambulance drives away in the fog. The police assure Angela that Casey's going to have the best care. They want to know what happened in the house while on the road to the hospital. The ambulance is seen crash into a tree, and inside the ambulance, Casey is obviously doing something to her attendees. We don't know what, but she's obviously doing something. So the back door opens, Casey walks out, and it's just a scene of bloody carnage in the back of the ambulance, so she flees the crash scene. Really interesting the way that was done. So the news breaks in saying that Casey has been missing for 2 days, and her family fears the worst because she's now gone out on her own. We don't know where she's going, but Marcus watches the news from his jail cell. Because again, he was arrested because they think that he's crazy. He massaged his own shoulder. That seems to have an epiphany, saying that he is coming. So Father Bennett shows up to bail him out. Marcus tells him he needs to warn His Holiness that this is actually going on. Because again, Father Bennett was the one that was denying all this. He said, we can't perform exorcisms, it's just wrong. But I like that Marcus is saying, look, you need to warn them that this is actually, you need to warn God this is actually going on and that we need to do something about it. Because again, the church seems to not believe what's going on. So back at the Rand's house, Angela startled awake from a bad dream. She sees Henry sitting on the edge of the bed in the dark. He asks if there's something she needs to tell him. She apologizes, says she hasn't let him in recently. She wants to know what's troubling him. He placed the Bible on the bed, telling her she needs to confess. And we don't know what exactly he's talking about, but there's clearly something that Angela is hiding. And she picks it up, she sees the inscription, and she understands what has upset Henry. You know, she doesn't know exactly what's going on, but she knows that whatever he's upset about is very much upset him. And then we finally get to the big reveal of why things have gone the way they have and what she exactly needs to confess. And it's this incredible scene where Tomas, still colorless in the church, kneels in the aisle. He prays, saying that it's his fault, asking for his brothers and sisters to pray for him. Just a really good scene overall. I like that he's blaming this on himself, because again, at this point, he feels it's all connected to him. He feels like he's in the wrong for all this. He hears a noise, and Angela's in the back of the church lighting a candle. They sit in a pew and they discuss patron saints and lost causes. Tomas says that they will find Casey and that people don't just disappear. And I like he's telling her, look, we will find her. Don't worry about it. He's reassuring her as much as possible. I really thought this was just a very powerful setup overall. But we see that Angela thinks that Casey had already disappeared even before this possession, and Henry's accident, Kat's accident, and now this. And she asks why he became a priest, and then remembers it was because of his grandmother. And everything we've known about Angela and Tomas, that's what makes this scene so powerful. And that's why I think it works as good as it does. So she tells him her parents split up when she was a kid, and that she moved around a lot. And finally, it seems like we're going to find out more about Angela. Angela's been kind of a blank slate. The only thing we've known about Angela is her current family state now, and that she's clearly dealt with possession before. But we had no idea what the real extent of that was. Basically, her parents split up when she was a kid. She moved around a lot. And here comes the huge twist. Angela reveals that she had lived in Washington, D.C. As a kid, she had an imaginary friend, and she said he looked like a little red bird to her. He could make her do just about anything. He made her feel special at first, but then thankfully she can't remember most of it. So she just wanted to move on with her life, but her mother was always finding new ways to use her story to make money, and Angela ran away from all that, changed her name, never saw her mom again. She reinvented herself, but no matter what, she wasn't protected. She chose Angela for Angel, thinking the name would protect her, obviously, from whatever was happening to her. So as Angela tells Tomas her story, a stranger arrives at the home, rings the bell. Henry goes to answer the door. Angela says she dreamed that she could have a life, but nothing she did mattered. She says it's coming for her, and as we see that Henry had been at home looking at the inscription on the Bible, which reads, "Two Rags, Love Mama, 1974, and Angela finally reveals the huge reveal that not only was she possessed before, but that she's actually Regan McNeil from The Exorcist. Yes, the original girl that was possessed. And then that is the perfect time for the big reveal when Henry opens the door. There's a woman standing right there. She introduced herself as Chris McNeil, says she's there to see her daughter, and that is the way the episode ends. Amazing stuff overall. Just this huge, mind-blowing twist. Let's just talk about this overall because I have no idea what's going to happen next, and definitely have a lot of predictions for where this is all going to go. So, wow, what a huge twist this was. I mean, I honestly had no idea that they were going to go in this direction with the twist, and I think it makes the show that much more interesting. Why is all this stuff happening to Angela's family? Because she was cursed. Why is Casey possessed? Because she was cursed. Why is Kat so in denial? Because she was cursed. It makes sense why Angela right away thought of exorcism, because Regan, was possessed. She already knows what that's like, and even though she can't remember the half of it, she knows what it's like to be possessed, and we don't exactly know what Regan can't remember, but that's what's going to make this that much more interesting. And now knowing we have Chris McNeil on the show is incredible. I can't believe they were able to hide this as long as they did. We knew this was loosely based. We really did. We knew this was loosely based on The Exorcist since the first episode. We just didn't know to what extent, and now we're realizing it actually is a direct sequel this entire time, and I absolutely love that. I think it's incredible the way they were able to do that, and it really does make perfect sense. The reason that Angela's been so worried and concerned about Casey is because she already knows what it's like to be possessed. She's been through that kind of thing before. And I think Henry, he now knows, clearly Casey knew. A big question is, has Angela come in contact with the stranger before? That's something that I'm not really sure about. Did she have a relationship with the stranger? What's really going on there? We don't really know if she had any kind of relationship with him. That's something that I don't really know. If she knew the stranger or if they had some sort of relationship before. That's something that we don't really know yet, and I'm looking forward to seeing really what's going to happen there. Now, obviously, Angela thinks that this demon's going to come for her family, and it makes sense why she changed her name to Angel. Just all that I thought was really incredible to find out. I really did love finding out all that, and I think it really does add to her character overall. There are a lot of things we didn't know about Regan, though. All we knew about Regan, we don't know what happened to her after she was unpossessed. And the movie, even at the end of the movie, you still think there's a chance that things could go back to the way they were. I mean, think about it. The priest committed suicide, for God's sake. She's not completely safe. You definitely do see that. And if this season ends with Angela possibly getting repossessed, that is going to be incredible. I can't wait to see the way that that's going to be done. And it really just shows how faithful of an adaptation this really is. I mean, this is how you do a TV adaptation. I've said it before. This is how you do it. And not just in the sense of what they did. Now that bird hitting the window, that no longer feels like a silly jump scare. Now we know what that's all about. This bird was communicating with her, from in the original movie. If you guys remember, there was that little red bird. So that bird committing suicide, I don't really know what that was meant to show, but now we know why that was so startling to Angela. Anything with a bird clearly scares her, and I think overall that's very interesting. I like that Kat is no longer in denial. I think that really does make things more interesting because I wouldn't want a whole season with Kat completely just deny. I think that'd be annoying if they did that. So I'm glad that Kat did in fact wake up and realize, holy shit, there is something going on. We need to do something about it. I thought overall that was really well done. The way they set all that up, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the way that's all going to go, because clearly Kat knows that there is something going on and that it's not really something that she can necessarily control. Angela, however, can control it because she's been through this kind of thing before. Casey's now going off on her own, though. We don't know where she's going. I think the stranger probably is the one that's going to lead her to this path. Remember, we still don't really know what the stranger wants, but when he's saying we need to bring her, I don't think he's no longer talking about Casey. I think he's talking about Angela, aka Regan. He knows that Angela is Regan. He knows that she changed her name, and she can't she can't run for that lawn. Even though she wants to run away, she can't run for that lawn. The demon's got to come back from it at some point, and I feel like that day is going to be very soon. I think definitely Angela's in for a rude awakening, but we'll have to see the way that's going to go down, because that's definitely going to be very interesting, the way that happens. as far as everything going on with Henry, I think a relationship with Henry is going to be very different now, because Henry now knows this huge secret about Angela, what's really going to happen with that. And now that Tomas knows that he's not really directly involved with this, it's going to be interesting to see really what happens with that. Maybe Regan knows a lot more about Tomas, we don't really know, but it looks like the next episode is going to reveal pretty much everything about Regan and Chris. We saw a promo where it looks like Regan can't remember anything. You know, she's on TV, she can't remember. It would make sense for Chris to try to, you know, promote this for money, because obviously Chris was a washed-up actress, if you guys remember, and that was one of the best things about her character in the original movies, how much of a washed-up actress she was. I always thought that was interesting. And then Marcus, I like that Father Bennett is now believing him, that he's no longer in denial, that Marcus is telling him, look, this is actually happening, we need to take action, we need to do something about this. And I think that Marcus is obviously right. I mean, we know how serious this really is, we know how dangerous it really is, and we know how much of a detriment this is going to be to the rest of the family, and that they need to take action now. This is no longer something to joke about, and I thought overall that was very well done, the way that happened, and just everything going on this episode between, you know, Father Tomas and Jessica. Clearly, Tomas, I guess, now feels like he can't really be a priest anymore because of what he did with Jessica. In fact, I think this season is probably going to end with him deciding not to be a priest, because if he has these feelings for Jessica, he can no longer be a priest if he harbors these feelings for her, you know, because obviously, again, you're supposed to be devoted, you're supposed to be in love with God, and that's kind of betraying God, what he's doing, which is overall really interesting, the way that was all done. But I'm just really excited to see where the show's going to go after this, because there's literally so many places they can go with this. Guys, the reason that the twist in American Horror Story Roanoke, while it was shocking, wasn't as shocking is because they didn't reveal there was going to be a huge twist at the end of the episode. All we knew is that there was going to be some sort of a curveball. We knew it was episode 5. We knew that the Exorcism was going to go as planned. We knew it was going to be some sort of a curveball. We didn't know the half of it, though. They've done a very good job with setting it up. I've loved everything about these first 5 episodes, but I feel like 6 through 10, that is going to be the actual story. We're going to see how that actually happened, all that kind of stuff. It's all going to make sense in the next 5 episodes, and I'm glad they have 10 episodes. I wouldn't like it if they had 22 episodes. I think 10 episodes is the right amount for this season. I'm glad to see they have that. But either way, guys, let me know if you guys saw this episode. Absolutely loved everything about it. I still can't believe this huge reveal. It really does change everything we thought about the show, which I really am happy about. I love that this twist happened, because it just makes things so much more interesting. Everything really does make sense now. But there's just so many more things I'm wondering. Have Chris and, you know, Angela come in contact with Marcus before? Because you'd have to think that Marcus was the same age as, you know, Angela. I mean, they're very close to age, definitely. So I'm thinking that Marcus maybe knew Regan before. I mean, that's just what I'm thinking. I feel like definitely there's more to this than we think, and I definitely think that there's a much stronger connection between Marcus and Regan than we think there is. Maybe Marcus is related to someone from the original movie. I mean, there's so many places they could go with this. If they end up revealing that every single one of these characters is related to the 3 main characters in the original movie, it honestly could make sense. I could really see them doing that. I mean, Max von Sydow looks like he could be the grandfather of Ben Daniels. I could really see that happening. Or you could have Jason Miller's character. Well, obviously he died, but maybe he's related to Father Tomas in some way. I mean, there's really so many different places they can go with this. I can't wait to see the way this is all going to go down. I know I'm rambling, but I haven't seen a show do a twist this good that's a TV adaptation in so long, and I'm just very happy they were able to keep this so hidden. I think it's really going to change everything that happens in the show. So many directions it can go, so many unexpected places I think the show's going to go, and I think there's probably going to be another twist. This might not be the only twist. There could still be something out there, but we'll have to see. But overall, guys, the most guys saw this episode, loved your thoughts on it. Where do you think the show's going to go after this? I mean, really, there's so many places they could go after this. I know I have a lot of TV to catch up on. I'm sorry, I've just been very busy all week. I'm going to try to do that with my next review, which will be for either Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or This Is Us. It's going to be one of those two things. Scream Queens I'll review before the hiatus, definitely. I'll review that next week, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.